Good morning. Today we're going to take a look at how to use a Lorenz curve to demonstrate inequality in a given economy, inequality of income in that given economy. And so what we have here is a model of a Lorenz curve that is set up right now with only the line of equality on it. So on our vertical axis we have the percent income held by the entire society. On the horizontal axis, we have the percentage of population. And so what we are certain of at some point is that 100% of the population is going to hold 100% of the income. And on this line of equality that we see here, we know that we are going to see that 50% of the population holds 50% of the income, 100% of the population holds 100% of the income. So this would be a situation where income was divided perfectly equally through society. But as we know, income is never divided perfectly equally through society, and so we have the Lorenz curve. And the reason I've highlighted this idea of the 50% and 50% from our line of perfect equality is that it will give us a really nice point of comparison when we draw in our Lorenz curve. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's place a Lorenz curve on this particular graph and then explain its significance. So we're going to go ahead and draw in a Lorenz curve, and that is a curve which demonstrates the inequality in the distribution of income. And if we notice, we can use that 50% marker there on our population to demonstrate to us that in this particular society, we can see that 50% of the population holds significantly less than 50% of the income. And so if we just sort of ballpark this and call it a 30%, in this particular society, 50% of the population is only earning 30% of the income, which means that the other 50% of the population is earning 70% of the income. You could also demonstrate that if you wanted to by going, this direction, and you'd be out to 70% of the population. That allows us to make a comparison. And the comparison that we can make is the area bounded by the curve relative to the entire area of the triangle. So the area bounded by the curve, I'm just going to highlight it for you. The area bounded by the curve is the difference between our line of perfect equality and the curve itself. And we're going to call that area A. So let me grab something we might be able to see a little bit better. And we're going to call that area A, okay? And the remainder of the curve, or the remainder of the area not bounded by the curve, we are going to refer to that as area B. And that allows us to do something of a comparison, right? We can compare the area, the size of area A to the size of area B. The closer to the line we are, area A is going to shrink. The farther away from the line we are, area B is going to shrink. So, if we were to add another Lorenz curve here, well, we'll do that on the next one. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at something called the Gini coefficient. And the Gini coefficient is a comparison, and so it's going to be a division. What we are comparing is the area of A compared to the area of A plus B. So the size of A relative to the size of the entire thing is called the Gini coefficient. The larger area A becomes, the more unequal societal distribution of income is. So Gini coefficients, larger Gini equals more inequality. And of course, the opposite of that is also true, where smaller Gini coefficients equal less inequality. All right? So, area A relative to the size of area B gives us our Gini coefficient, and that Lorenz curve gives us the distribution of income within a given society. Now, a wonderful question is, how could I apply that and use it on an IB exam to help demonstrate outcomes of policy or some impacts of policy? Let's take a look, all right? So once again, let's go ahead and I'm just going to ballpark this, and you can do this on your exams as well, because nobody's going to grab the ruler and start measuring whether you actually nailed 50% or not. So I'm going to put that 50% line in once again. That shows that 50% of the population is going to earn 50% of the income right here on our line of perfect equality, right? In Karl Marx's dream world. So let's go ahead and show how we can use this on an exam to help us demonstrate impact of policy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a reasonably high Gini coefficient, reasonably unequal society. All right, and notice on the outside here, my Lorenz curve does not go outside the 100% population line, and that's important because obviously you can't have more than 100% of your population. In this particular case, we can take a look here, and we can see that 50% of our population, and again, I'm ballparking this, holds about 20% of our income. And what I would like to do in this particular case is I'm going to use labels to help my explanation. So I'm going to label that point A. Now let's suppose that the government engages in a series of policies that are designed to limit income inequality. Maybe we're creating a better healthcare system. Maybe we are investing in education. Maybe we are practicing redistribution of resources and income from wealthier groups to less wealthy groups. That direct redistribution is going to happen reasonably quickly, whereas the sort of supply side version of that, where we're creating better healthcare systems, better education systems, better training systems, that's going to have a little bit of a policy lag to it. But let's take a look at the outcome of those policies, all right? And hopefully the outcome of the policy choice is that we are going to see increases in the levels of equality over the course of time. And so let's go ahead and show our Lorenz curve shifting closer to our line of equality. And there we can see a Lorenz curve which has moved and shifted inward towards that line of equality. Let's go ahead and label that point B, and we can see that now, and again, we're just ballparking the numbers here, at point B on our curve, we can now use these two Lorenz curves to make a comparison. And what we can say is, without redistribution policies, without changes to societal infrastructure like education, training, and health, we were here at point A where 20% of the income was made by 50% of the people. But after these policies, after the government institutes an unemployment system, an unemployment insurance system, increased health care, whatever it is that's going to create that lessening of inequality, you can show that the Lorenz curve has moved closer to the line of equality, and now 50% of our population is earning 30% of the income, and we have changed the Gini coefficient of society, and we've made our area A much smaller, and area A becoming smaller indicates a lessening of inequality. And this is how you could use a Lorenz curve on your exams. And the key point for me, I think, on here is this idea of showing the comparison and being able to explain policies that's going to make this change happen, right? The redistribution of income from one group to another group, either through direct provision or long-term investment to change the productivity of those who don't have the income today. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day.